Welcome to KCLau's Personal Finance and Personal Development Tips podcast for Malaysians who seek financial and personal development education. The title of this episode is Quick Guide to Incorporating a Company in Malaysia. So, you've finally made the decision to start your own business. Congratulations! Some of you may have been working for many years for someone else and have now decided to start something of your own. Others may be new entrepreneurs starting up a business for the first time. Whichever applies, it's going to be the start of an exciting new journey, filled with passion as you work to build and grow your own company. But as the saying goes, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And in this situation, the first step is usually incorporating a company. Why incorporate, we may ask ourselves. It's a hassle, it costs money, there are compliance obligations, etc., etc. The answer? You're absolutely right. Incorporating a company is not necessarily the best way forward for every new entrepreneur. For some of you, you might be better off registering a sole proprietorship or simply acting as an individual freelancer. It is not a one-size-fits-all business vehicle. But for most traditional type businesses out there, a corporate presence must take shape in the form of a company. The Sendirian Berhad or Private Limited needs to be visible to potential customers, partners, investors and financiers. It really depends on the requirements of each individual. So if you've decided that incorporating a company is the best way forward for your new business, look no further than this easy-to-follow guideline. Step 1. Decide what type of company to incorporate. In selecting the right type of company, best to opt for a company limited by shares, which is the most common type of company. You'll need a minimum of 2 subscribers to the shares of the company, a minimum of 2 directors and a company secretary. These 2 directors and company secretaries must have their main or only place of residence in Malaysia. Step 2. Do a name search. There are rules and regulations on the kinds of names that can and cannot be registered as a company name. To this end, a name search must be conducted to ensure availability and registrability. Form 13A, together with a fee of 30 ringgit, will need to be submitted to the Companies Commission of Malaysia, also known as Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia or SSM. Step 3. Prepare incorporation documents. 2 documents need to be prepared, one known as the Memorandum of Association and another known as the Articles of Association. Also required to be submitted is Form 48A, which is a statutory declaration by a director or promoter before appointment, as well as a declaration of compliance in the form of Form 6. This statutory declaration will be made by the company secretary. Other than these, you'll also need to include the original version of Form 13A, a copy of the letter from SSM approving the company name, and a copy of each director's IC as well as the IC of the company secretary. All these must be compiled for submission. Together, these may be referred to as the incorporation documents. Step 4. Lodge the incorporation documents and pay the fees. Incorporation documents must be submitted to SSM within 3 months from the date of approval of the company's name by SSM, failing which a fresh application for a name search must be done. With regard to fees, each application to incorporate the company must be submitted together with the prescribed fee. The fee is predetermined based on the authorized share capital of the company in ringgit. Step 5. Wait for the Certificate of Incorporation. A Certificate of Incorporation will be issued by SSM upon compliance with the incorporation procedures and submission of the duly completed incorporation documents. In conclusion, while it is possible to conduct the whole process by yourself using SSM's online services, go to ssm.com.my, it might be penny-wise, pound-foolish to do so. Navigating the minefield that is the regulatory landscape in Malaysia is not for the faint-hearted or for the inexperienced. You could make mistakes, spend an inordinate amount of time struggling to understand the documentation and trying to find out what to do next, and even have your document rejected by SSM owing to a technical error or a non-compliance. So unless you have prior experience doing this for previous companies, or are yourself a lawyer or company secretary, it might be best not to attempt to DIY. Instead, it might be more advisable to retain the services of a small company secretarial firm to take care of the paperwork for you, even though it would be cheaper to do it yourself online. As a final tip, when selecting a company secretarial firm, go for a small-sized one that services non-listed companies, by reason of the fact that firms servicing large public listed companies are likely to charge more. You can find this recording and full transcript at KCLau.com, that's KCLau.com. Visit our website for more advanced financial training, money tips and personal development tips.